we also want to talk about the Canon WE1 Wi-Fi adapter. Jeff, this is something you purchased. Tell us first, why'd you pick this up?
Yeah, so my objective was I've been shooting high school basketball this season, and I wanted to make it possible that I could share photos without, during the game. I wanted it to be able to Instagram out some photos during the game. And I was just taking a picture of the back LCD to do that with my phone and then Instagramming that out. And it was okay, actually. Most of the people were just so glad to see a cool picture of their players that didn't even bother them. Nobody said anything about it. They liked them. But I wanted to get better quality, so I thought I'd invest in this. It was a pretty modest investment. I think it was like $30. And so the first thing is it only works in the 7D Mark II, the 5DS, and the 5DSR.
Oh, because it's taken up one of your SD slots, right? You need,
and it's very specifically designed for those three cameras. And the way that they are going to control that, like, it's not like, well, I'll buy it and put it in a different camera. There's two slots. Even if you had two slots, it doesn't matter because you have to have firmware in the camera that will know how to use the card.
Nice. So why can you just use something like oh, my mind just went blank. What's the alternative firmware for Canon? No. The alternative firmware.
A Magic Lantern.
Magic Lantern. My mind just went blank. Can it just replace this?
Actually doesn't work with any three of those cameras either. They don't have Magic Lantern for the Canon 7D.
Oh, and it wouldn't do Wi-Fi anyway. Okay. Yeah.
No.
It needs
there's no Wi-Fi in it. So yeah, none of that would help. So right off the bat, what it makes me realize is this should have been trivial for them to put it in. There's no reason that they couldn't put this little. I mean, they put this Wi-Fi chip inside of an SD card format that's super thin, super small. There had to have been a place to stick this in the camera. Yeah. And then all they had to do was do the firmware. I mean, this is ridiculous. There's no reason that they couldn't have put these things inside those bodies.
Yeah, that really shows off just how small of a space that Wi-Fi takes up. If it fits inside a SD card and probably only takes up like a third of it anyway.
Yeah, I think most of the SD card is just plastic around this little tiny chip.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever seen like the Wi-Fi chip, the little adapter thingy, the little band in like an iPad or something, if you've ever replaced a screen or something, it is puny. And you can buy these parts if you want to like create your own computer or whatever. It's like a $20 part, and it's this tiny little thing. They're cheap, and it's just mind blowing to me that they aren't in more cameras.
It just makes me wonder if in some board meeting at some point they said we could put it in there, and they said no, we can make it an extra add-on for $30.
Genius!
Boom, more money. We're printing our own. I don't know. So anyway, that was my goal. I wanted to use this. It was the only way that I knew to add Wi-Fi to my camera because I use a 7D Mark II. It adds a new option to the setup menu on the camera. So that was another kind of ridiculous thing about it. It is literally, I think it's 6 clicks to make this work in the camera menu system.
And it's its own product. You should just be able to slip it in and poof, it knows what to do.
Yeah. So, and you can't use the camera while it's activated. And that was one of my most frustrating things. So I'm shooting during the game, and then I thought, oh, that was a good shot that I just got. I want to share that one, like during a timeout or something. So then the timeout would come. I could barely get through the menu system to enable the Wi-Fi by the time the timeout was over for in the basketball game, and couldn't share during a timeout. I had to wait till halftime.
Arg.
And before we started recording, you said something about the reason that it's different from an iFi card is because it doesn't actually have any storage on it.
There's no storage.
So that would explain why it's only working with the 7D Mark II, the 5DS, and 5DSR, is because it has to be a 2-slot system in order to work, because the photos actually aren't on that card at all. They're on the other card that you have inserted, right?
Right. Yep. So the photos go to the CF card that I have in the other slot, and then the SD card is totally taken up by this little thing that you put in there. And so it was frustrating. It did allow me to share the photos. What it does then is it establishes this little Wi-Fi network around the camera, just like any Wi-Fi in a camera will do. So you on your smartphone, you go join that wireless network that it produces. you can custom name it, so it's easy to find. You join it, then you have to run the Canon Connect software on the phone to use the Wi-Fi, which I think is the same software used for any Wi-Fi that Canon does.
And then the first time you connect to it, it's always a bigger pain than the future times.
Right. Yeah, the very first time, which I'm glad I went through before I went to the game, because if I would have had to go through that during the game, I wouldn't even have been able to use it the whole time. Right. It takes long enough, and it's hard enough to set up, even though I think they call it Easy Connect.
They do that just with some kind of like evil grin. Easy Connect. Yeah.
So, that'll make them buy. So overall, what do you think? I mean, was this worth doing? Did it solve your problem, or do you just kind of wish you would have just written on an SD card and brought a laptop?
Yeah, there's not a better way with the Canon 70 Mark II to do what I wanted to do. That's what it is. So iFi, I've had people say, well, why didn't you just buy an iFi? Wouldn't that do the same thing? And it's probably pretty close. The problem is iFi as a company has really struggled over recent times.
Yeah,
they've stopped supporting a lot of their products. It's not going well. So it's not a solution you can rely upon. I don't know how well I can rely upon this either, whatever. But yeah, slightly better than taking a picture using your phone of the back LCD for sure.
Which is not a very high bar.
But the pain of it, like, it was super easy. I could do that during timeouts. I could take a picture of the LCD and share it really fast during a timeout and have that work just fine. And the people weren't so much more impressed with it that I'm not sure it really ended up working out well. The other thing that I thought would be a deal, and I didn't test it beforehand, but I have since, was I thought I needed to record RAW plus JPEG so that I could actually download just the JPEG version.
Yeah, and you don't have to do that.
And it actually ended up filling up my CF card so much faster because of that. And I ran out of space at about midway through the third quarter on my 128 gig CF card. So instead of sharing photos during every break in the game,
you're deleting photos,
as many bad ones as I could.
Yeah. Do the opposite of sharing photos.
Right. So now I've learned, I only have to take the RAWs, and it will pull the JPEG preview out of the RAW for you as you pull it back, and that all works. But functionally it works. There's no problem with that. You get the photo just like you would expect out to your phone. You can go do Lightroom stuff with it. All of that's there. It's just
can you take control of your camera like you would?
You can control your camera while it's connected. You just can't use the manual controls on the camera, or even switching it back, like to be disconnected to go back. I either had to say on the phone, I want to disconnect now and gain control over my camera again, or I had to turn the camera off and back on to gain control. It wasn't easy to connect. Yeah.
Well, so as a lot of people know, that I shoot the 5D Mark IV now, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about that camera is that the Wi-Fi function actually works really well. For example, when I'm recording a video, I can bring up my phone. I can set up my composition looking at my phone to figure out where I need to stand or whatever. I can tap on my face and then hit record, stick my phone in my pocket, and I can start and stop all my video from my phone. And then like you, Jeff, when I'm at a sporting event or something, or let's say I'm on a photo trip and I want to just quickly look at all the photos I have taken that day while I'm laying in bed at the hotel or whatever, I can just connect really quickly. Like, I turn my camera on, my Wi-Fi turns on. Unless I turn it off, I can connect to it, open the app, and then I can scroll through all my photos. I click on which one I might want to put on my phone, and I hit the button to send to my phone, and it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the only reason I have Lightroom on my phone, Lightroom Mobile.
Right.
Is so I can edit those photos after I send it to my phone, add a little contrast or whatever.
Right.
And kind of, because whatever it sends over from the camera is always so flat and lifeless. I don't know if you've experienced that, but whatever it sends over to your phone when you download a photo from your camera, it's so flat and lifeless and just dull. And that's why, that's the whole reason I have to edit before I upload or share anything from my